Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe, and today we're going to be continuing our budget series playing green-black Saprolings. So this is one of the starter decks that you would get out from when you start out. So it's got a couple cards in here already that we can kind of build on top of. The deck itself in paper costs $30, and outside of the vraskas, all the rares at least included in this list come in your starter deck. So the one of Tendershoot Dryad and the one of Woodland and Cemetery. So there's obviously ways we could further enhance this deck, but we're just using this right now as a way to kind of streamline the existing deck while still building up some of the rare cards. Ideally, what you'd like to do is replace these Foul Orchards and Golgari Guild Gates with a 4 of Woodland Cemetery and 4 of Overgrown Tomb. So what I'll do is, in addition to the budget version, I will post a non-budget version of where I think the deck would want to be played out. So I'll walk you through really quick before we get started. So you have your Spore Crown Thallid, which is basically a Lord, giving each of our other fungus or saplings +1/1. We have 3 cast downs just to have some sort of removal in the deck. Cast down's pretty flexible and gets rid of most creatures that are heavily played in the format right now. We're playing one of fungal plots. So this is something we don't want to draw every game, but it's a good card against, say, control, where as they start killing our creatures, we can exile them to create more saplings, and in a pinch, we can either gain life or draw a card. There's Saproling Migration, which creates 2 Saprolings for 2, or 4 Saprolings for 6 mana. So this is just a good way to pump out more Saprolings. We have Song of Freyleys, which makes our Saprolings tap for mana to pump out more Saprolings. And then on Chapter 3, it gives a bump to all our creatures, giving them +1/1, Vigilance Trample, and Indestructible for the end of the turn. Playing 4 of Deathbloom Thallid, so basically 3/2 for 3. When it dies, we get another Saproling. Yavimaya Shepherd, which comes in and brings a Saproling friend along. We got Slimefoot, our commander in a sense. So whenever a Saproling dies, it deals 1 damage to an opponent and you gain 1 life. So it's very similar to a Blood Artist effect, but for Saprolings. And then if we start to flood out, we can use the second ability to create more Saprolings. We have Poison Tip Archer, which basically is insurance against a board wipe. If we flood the board whenever our Saprolings die, it deals 1 damage. Plus, it being a reach and death touch is quite good in this format right now, as there's a lot of flyers between Mono Blue and the Drake's deck that this can kill. Then we have Spore Swarm, which is 4 mana, instant speed, create 3 1/1s. So this is good as like an ambush effect, or just to create some tokens at the end of turn, say after a board wipe. Mentioned the vraskas. So these are the only like non-budget consideration. If you've been playing to use the free promo where you got these promo arts, then it's 1 down. If you're playing in paper, these are only about $5 now, so they're not too expensive. So this is really good in this type of deck because what will likely happen is we'll play out our hand and then just be playing off the top of our deck. Vraskas Plus, when you have so many little 1/1 tokens, actually allows us to draw more cards. And then her second ability is quite relevant against some of the enchantments or other permanents. And then finally, Tendershoot Dryad. This is probably the best Saproling card. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to be playing one of that you get in the pack, but ideally if you want to play Saprolings, this is a card you want to play 4 of. It creates Saprolings on each player's turn and then pumps up all your creatures quite easily when you get the City's Blessing. So we'll play this deck in a couple best of 1 queues. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in a sideboard, if you wanted to try out traditional play. It would likely be some number of Duress, Moments of Craving, probably Eldest Reborn, maybe a fine Finality. You're really just looking for more interaction, particularly against control. So this hand's pretty good. We have a curve which we like, so we go Saproling Migration on 2, Thallid on 3, or we can, if need be, we can go wide with Shepherd. So we're not punished too badly with this hand. Like the Orchard coming in tap turn 1 is fine, we don't have much to play. So this type of deck's really good against something like a Grixis Control, in the sense if, or like a deck that's playing 1-for-1 removal. So this looks like a life gain style deck. So here, I think in this sense we go as wide as possible. Actually, interesting interaction here. So say we get a board full of Saprolings and it's kind of a stall. We can use this second ability to start sacking our tokens, to draw more cards, and to start pinging our opponents. So here we'll play the archer. We'll let that as lifelink. Yeah, I think we start attacking in. Opponent's on black-white vampires. So this, to note, like they can sacrifice a creature to give it indestructible, which is fine, but then it also gives them the death touch that can start trade. Alenda is pretty bad for us. So with our deck that wants a lot of creatures dying, that's probably one of the worst cards we can see. So here we have a choice of either double spelling or just spore swarming. Probably just like double spelling this turn just to be mana efficient. Pass the turn. So I think what we need to do is just try to hold the board as long as possible and then use the second ability to sack all our Saprolings. That's unfortunate. This is probably the worst card we can see for our type of deck. And it being legendary, we don't really have a way to deal with it. I'm going to hold off the poison tip archer for now. It's more likely to draw out removal, and because we don't need it for attacks right now, they also don't want to attack with the Alenda until they can guarantee that it's either big enough or the payoff is worth it. Legion's Landing is also scary for the opponent. They can turn it on by attacking with 3 next turn. See if they come in with any attacks. So I'm going to pass here. It's just going to make their Alenda bigger and then they'll gain the life. They're going to gain too much life this game. It's going to be difficult for us to. So we can kill something on their turn. They still attack. Okay, so I think we just passed the turn. Probably for this game, since we're not going to win, I'll demo how this ability works with the poison tipped, so I can show you how much damage we can deal. Of note, this is only Saprolings, as opposed to fungus. So the first half is usually a fungus, and then it leads a Saproling. They got some signs coming out. Okay, so they're going to attacks. Just kill this. This does make Alenda bigger. Can't really do much about that, unfortunately. So just block like this. We'll get the Death Thrall to die. We'll get more Saprolings. Lunda gets huge. Opponent's thinking about it, but they pretty much got this one. We can go one more, so they'll attack, gain 8. So they still need to worry about just attacking right in with Alenda. We have enough power. Angelic Exaltation. That one's a fun card. So see what they pump up. Might be the Alenda. So it's 11 power, so we could technically block with everything and kill it. They would then get a whole bunch of tokens. Probably our only way of winning. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, blocks with a bunch. Wish this was out. But I don't think they attack next turn with it not being. So they get 11 1/1s, and they will get to power something up huge. I'm gonna play out the Slime Foot here. Whatever they power up big, we can block. They'll likely power up the Pontiff because they could give it indestructible. Dead. There's also an opportunity to go splash white for stuff like Radiant Destiny in the Saproling deck. It powers them up. So hopefully we can get a match. But you can see how we can inflict a lot of damage with the Poison Tip Archer. And that's something you can kind of steal games with. Let me know as well if there's any other budget decks, like either build-arounds, themes, stuff like that you'd like to see. I want to try to put out as many of these decks as I can to help out some of the newer viewers, and then just provide kind of like verbal gameplay to help you navigate through the variety of matches you might face. Alrighty, let's see what we're up against next. So this hand, I'm gonna mulligan here. Sounds much worse. Probably should have kept the first. Okay, we'll keep this. The reason we mulligan the first, we didn't really have much to do. We were gonna be playing out like the Saproling migration into Song of Freyleys, but we didn't really have anything to ramp into. So first mono red, we can kill their first creature. And then hopefully draw a land in the next turn. Okay, perfect. Always kill the Steamkin if you can. And if it's at 3 counters and you can block, always block it. Because a lot of times what people forget, even if it's just 1 toughness, they'll attack with it as a 4 power. Take some damage, take off the 3 counters, add the mana, and then it dies. So this is where an example of where we get punished for having these tap lands, and this is another reason why there's an importance to having proper mana. Here we could have had a Slime Foot out, Instead, we are turned behind and will be taking 2 damage and giving them the opportunity to turn on Spectacle. So here I'm going to lead off with the Death Bloom first. It leaves behind a body if it gets shocked. And it can trade with either or. Even if it gets shocked, we still have 1 toughness that we can, or 1 power from the Saproling to kill the Viashino. So we're not going to block just yet. Bring out the Slimefoot. So Slimefoot at least will help us gain some life. Chain Whirler is pretty bad versus our deck. So they attack for 4 here. I think we're too far behind here. Yep, opponent's got us. So going down to 5 cards against Mono Red is tough. Mono Red's a deck that punishes any kind of slip up. So for us to not really have early plays, and then just getting the damage, and then us missing a land draw followed by a tap land really hurt us there. So I'll keep this hand. So this one here, similar to that other game where we decided to mulligan, here we have 2 lands, but we have 3 spells effectively that we can play. So here, we'll play out the Saproling migration right now. So they'll most likely have another Merfolk or an island, so it'll become 2 toughness. We want to save the cast down for either one of their unblockable threats, or the Merfolk that whenever another Merfolk enters the battlefield, you put 1/1 counters on it. Those are usually the payoff cards. This just being a 2/2 isn't too bad for us. So they have another Kumena Speaker in hand. Here, we'll just pass the turn. See how the opponent attacks. We're gonna cast down now. Just keep the board clear. They could, if they have a land, they could likely double spell. So we get punished here. River Sneak is something you usually want to kill. So what we can do here is we can declare blockers on 2 of their creatures and then sacrifice to gain 2 life and to draw a card. So what you're doing here is you're basically declaring a blocker. Because they don't have trample, the damage does get prevented. And then we can do it. You don't want to do this against something that has trample, because then there's no toughness in play, and the trample damage would come over top. That's a good surprise card. Opponent spending the turn to chart a course is also good for us. So here we can surprise them with Spore Swarm. If they attack again the same, we can double block on Kumena and then one on Silvergill Adept. This is the reason why we said we need to kill River Sneak. It gets big, it's unblockable. This play was a little looser if they did have one of the lords. So because they're doing the pump here, I'm gonna sacrifice because we're no longer able to kill them. If we draw land here, okay, perfect. So now we can double spell, which is good. Sleep is pretty bad for us. Okay, cast down's really good. So we're gonna bring out another Deathbloom Thallid. Running into a lot of other swarm decks, which make it difficult. So here we're gonna kill the sneak. And block as such. See if they have another pump spell. Xaxes. It's a good game from the opponent. We'll run it back for one more now, just see how it goes. If we could draw a couple lands, his hand's really good. So when you have the option generally to play like an untapped land like this, you always lead off with the basic. It tells less information to the opponent. So if we lead with a swamp, there could be quite a few decks we could be playing. Okay, so we hit the land, which is good. So if we could get enough of a board out, and then we could Song of Freyleys, we could pump out more creatures with Slimefoot. I think we might be playing the mirror. We are playing the mirror, so let's see who's got the better deck. No blocks there. So opponent's playing Path of Discovery. This will allow his to get bigger. We didn't hit the other land there, so we have the option to either pump up our creatures here or get out the Deathbloom. I think we go Deathbloom right now. If we hit a land next turn, we can double spell. Poison tip for the opponent's good. with the path of discovery. Okay, so here. So I think what we're going to do here is just opt to Spore Swarm. It might allow them to incorrectly attack this turn. We need to get their poison tip off the field. Path of Discovery will make their creatures a little bigger. We have the Spore Crown Thallid in hand. We might be able to go wider than the opponent does as well. So the Assassin's Trophy here does ramp us up. We will take a basic land. Okay, so here we can ambush our opponent. Get it off the battlefield. And now make ours bigger and play the Slimefoot. Next turn we can double spell, and then we can start using our creatures to make mana. Ah, Tendershoot's really bad. This interaction is just going to make really big creatures. So here we can block and then tap to make creatures. But at this point they're going to get quite large. They out Saprolinged us. Who would have seen the day? So we can create a Saproling here. So don't quite have enough to drain them out. But we're getting close. Next turn they all get plussed. That makes theirs larger as well. So at the very least, this is a good demo of what the deck can do and the power of having multiple Tendershoot Dryads. So they're playing Slimefoot. Guess just to make it larger. So we have 2 activations of Slimefoot this turn. Let's see if they attack with anything. So we're gonna have to block. We just block like this, and then we're taking 8. So let's block. Activate. Activate. Lots of triggers go on the stack. So we might actually be able to get a draw. So they have to block these. Otherwise they're dead on the crackback. If they kill them now, then we get 4 damage in, gain 2 life. We can activate it twice. Let's see what our opponent does here, if they take the blocks. It's kind of a free attack anyways. Like, they have more than lethal on the snapback. And they're indestructible, so no harm in that. Actually, we misplayed. We should have attacked with that as well. So they get another Saproling. That is a fungus, so that won't trigger Slimefoot. So it's interesting because they can't actually attack us. They draw if they attack us, I think. Because every creature that dies that's a Saproling, they lose 2. So that's 8 damage they take. So that's 8 damage off that. 9. I think they actually messed that up and we win. So they're dead on the triggers. They needed to attack with more. And we steal it. Opponent misplayed that. They should have attacked with more. But that's an exciting win. So let me know what you think of the deck in the comments below. As I mentioned, if there's any other themes you'd like to see, for sure, drop a comment. You can also reach me anytime on Twitter at MTG_Joe2. Thanks for watching and have a great one.